Hey guys, we are here today to talk about what it's like to daily drive a Stage 2 Mark 6 GTI. I've done quite a few other things to just help get that Stage 2 power to the ground, and we're going to talk about all of it in this video. Plus, we're just going to do some tests that people living with, daily driving with these cars just tend to really like to do that. I mean, we'll just test it out and guess and see what happens. We're going to go over things like power, handling, comfort, vibrations, fuel economy, all these types of things to tell you what it's like to live with a GTI on Stage 2. Now, some people go Stage 3, some people go more, but we're Stage 2, and we're gonna have a blast talking about everything this GTI has to offer for daily driving and whether or not I like it. So, let's dive in. The reason we're here is that Stage 2 power. There's some things you got to do to get to Stage 2, but it's not a whole lot. You got to have that downpipe, but Stage 2 power, it is totally worth everything you can put into it to get the most out of that power. I mean, it completely transforms this Mark 6 GTI. It had power to begin with, but now it's got quite a bit. I mean, I'm pretty sure a Fiesta ST has more power stock than this thing does right now to the wheels, but that's beyond the point. This Stage 2 is fantastic. I got some other videos just talking more about the Stage 2 tune itself. Go check those out. But, I mean, you can smoke minivans off the line now. You couldn't before. Well, I'm not even sure if now you can, because some of those things are actually packing quite a bit of horsepower, but this thing just drives so well and so smoothly on this Stage 2. 263 from 034 Motorsports is a fantastic amount of horsepower. I'm still on the stock clutch, which is kind of why I went for 034, because I don't have to worry about absolutely killing my clutch with 280 horsepower through a clutch rated for about 250 or something like that. So I am good. Now here's the fun part. The GTI is limited to 128 miles an hour from the factory. I mean, its theoretical top speed without that limiter or without a tune is about 148, I think I've seen. And without that top speed limiter on a Stage 2 tune, because you've raised the RPMs about 200, but you're being at 168 miles an hour. That's pretty crazy. And now, listen, my top speed in this is only 130. I mean, I know the internet has kind of made it out to seem like anything less than 180 is slow, but that is highly dangerous on public roads. Now, I'm not saying that 130 is much better, but I will say that there was not a single person around me when I hit that speed, and I made sure of that. I try to drive as safely and responsibly as I can when people are around, and I really, really do not like speeding or as dangerous driving as people glorify on social media these days. It really kind of irks me. Now, that being said, top speed is kind of fun, but I like really high speed turns. That's kind of my jam. Now, the only issue with the power and daily drivability is first gear. First gear is about this long. It is so short in these Mark 6 GTIs. I think someone mentioned the 6-speed in a similar aged Beetle actually has a longer first gear. I think longer gear ratios, which is, I don't know the transmission codes, but someone probably does. But I mean, you're trying to drive comfortably. This is talking about daily driving. Trying to drive comfortably in first gear with a passenger, and the passenger is just sitting there in first gear. Boing. Oh my God, it is very herky-jerky to drive very smoothly. Second gear is quite punchy. I mean, the power has just made it a little bit more punchy, so you kind of get a little bit more herky-jerk. I mean, it doesn't kill daily driving. It makes it so much more fun. I mean, like I'm about to mention, there's a lot of noises and sounds now, and the power is fantastic. Only, if you don't want the herky-jerky, Stage 2 may not be for you. And here's some other things that may not be specifically for you when thinking about going Stage 2 to get that power to the ground. So Stage 2 power is nice on the highway. I mean, you can scoot in and out of traffic real good. I mean, just down to 4th, boom, up to any speed you need, really. It's fantastic. Now, I will say, you'd be surprised at how quiet the setup actually is. I mean, unless I need to zip around someone or I'm on cruise control going up a hill, the noise really isn't that bad. When you step on it though, like, you can hear it definitely increase in noise. it's a little bit much. It's not the worst, but it's definitely louder. It is pretty bearable. Now, what's actually really interesting, unfortunately, I couldn't get it on this trip just because I did some testing earlier, but I still get almost 28, 30 miles per gallon highway on long road trips. For stage 2, that's really impressive. It just settles in and goes. I think the best I did was on the road trip to Maine was 32.2. I've got about 30 on the longest road trip I've done since stage 2. Still, 30 miles per gallon on a stage 2 GTI is actually pretty impressive. Now, with the stage 2 power, I've had to use, here's uphill, look at that. I have some mounts and different bunch of suspension components that just make this car a lot stiffer. So it's not really to do with power, it's just the vibrations, because I've got a dog bone insert, engine mount insert, upgraded rear sway bar, and 2 types of braces. I mean, there's a lot of vibrations, a lot of just the steering wheel. If I let go, it's like that. And if I have water in here, you can see the vibrations, feel them. Step on it, you can hear the vibrations kind of kicking in. They're kind of all over the place. And I mean, on a long road trip, your hands might go a little bit numb. It's not the worst thing in the world, but we're car guys. We welcome the more connected feel to the car, even if that means added NVH. It really isn't terrible. I mean, you can hear the exhaust, the footwells rattling a little bit, the exhaust rattles a touch, the seat's vibrating, the steering wheel's vibrating, but you feel everything on this car. You feel right where it's going and right where it wants to be. And I just think that makes this car that much better. I love it, even if it is, on a right turn, I guess, there's a little more vibrations. Here it is, 80 miles an hour, there's some vibrations. A little bit, but you know what? As I said, we're car guys. We love this stuff, but we don't care about NVH too much if it means we can have a better driving car. I mean, there's people on bags and static where they can go over a bridge and their rear tires come off the ground. Like, I've seen that video, but a little bit, I think a lot of people will be very happy with it. Now, if you just like comfort overall, don't do it. Just don't do it. It's not the most comfortable thing. It's still fairly comfortable compared to a fully stripped out stage 2, stage 3 car, but it's still fairly, it's still a little vibrating. Yeah, there's steering wheel, hands might go numb, seat goes the entire time, but I like it. I think it's pretty worth it. So we'll go a little bit deeper into the suspension later. This was just some of the NVH. Now, a test that a lot of people like to do for some reason on these series. So there's always this one test that the Living With series, daily driving series tend to do, and it's the drive-through test, where they bring these just ridiculous cars through the drive-through, and it's an absolute disaster. So I figured I'd try that with Elsa. So we're gonna go to Dunkin' and get me a nice iced coffee, because it's still morning time. I could use some caffeine.
Thank you for choosing that.
Hi, could I get a medium iced coffee with cream, please?
Medium iced coffee with just cream?
Yes.
No sugar?
Nope, no sugar.
All right, and what else for you?
That'll be all.
All right, you come around.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Okay, it's gonna be $3.52.
There we are. Thank you. Thank you. You too. I mean, I don't know what the fuss is about. That was pretty easy. Some good coffee. Some good coffee. So what a lot of people tend to do when they go stage 2, 3, 4, however many stages your car has, there's about 3 generally known ones for this GTI, but on stage 2, a lot of people will have done a lot of suspension mods and removing of creature comforts. Now I'm gonna tell you, I got this GTI for a reason. I got it because it had heated seats. And I tell you what, I wanted the heated seats. If I have heated seats, I'm gonna use them and I'm gonna keep them. I want to strip the interior out and really go just absolutely hard with it, but it's still a daily driver. Now I know I've done actually a couple of videos where I have stripped out the whole interior. It really isn't that hard, honestly, and it removes about 150 pounds, and it takes about 10 minutes to do the whole thing. Very quick. I mean, you can swap back and forth if you really want to, but I leave a lot of it in because as I was kind of writing the script for this, I was thinking, why remove creature comforts if I actually use them? I got a 4-door hatchback for a reason, because of how much space there is just with all the people that I can fit. I mean, I've only got a couple friends, but you know, that's just the nature of how it goes when you're an adult. but there's plenty of space in the back because I have to carry so much camera equipment all over the place. And then for filming this, there's just a ton of space that I really needed to make sure I could do everything I needed to do. And if I really need it, you can fit a couple bodies in the back, but hopefully I don't need that. But it's okay, I got a guy if I do. Plus, when you remove everything from the rear of the car, it just makes the noises, the clunks, the exhaust so much louder that it's not undrivable. I can live with it, but I know a lot of people who don't do what we do can't live with it. I mean, it still drives. It's still a functioning car when you remove it all, but you can hear every little pop and bang, every clunk of the suspension, every movement from that rear sway bar. And that is one other thing I do want to touch on is the handling of this car. Daily drivability is not sacrificed at all for what I've done. I've done a rear sway bar, I've done adjustable end links, I've got the interior brace, and I've got the lower front brace, just stiffening across the chassis. We're not on coilovers yet. It's actually, by the time this video comes out, I'll have the coilovers in hand. So that's actually very exciting for this build. But what I've done, it's made the car stiffer, yes, and as I've talked about before, there's some vibrations and there's a lot more noises and kind of stuff that you wouldn't generally get without it, but it's very, very livable. And if you only do one mod to your MK6 GTI, do the rear sway bar. It does not affect daily drivability at all. You barely notice having a rear sway bar having an upgraded rear sway bar. I mean, you notice not having a rear sway bar, so you notice having one, but having an upgraded rear sway bar is something daily driving you don't notice, which to me is good for drivability. But when you really need to launch it into those turns, turn-in is very sharp and crisp, and it just activates so quickly. I mean, I'm only on a 23 when there's, I think, a 26 034 one out there. But man, this 23 already does plenty of work without sacrificing daily drivability. Stage 2 is a thing of beauty on this MK6 GTI. With the vibrations and with the noise, Stage 2 isn't for everyone. It is pretty easy to live with, I will say, but there are a lot of vibrations. There's more noise, but man, is that power all worth it, in my opinion. Now, you might say some of the things I've done are unnecessary, you don't need. I think everything I've done is pretty worth it for me. And that's what this boils down to. For me, daily driving this Stage 2 GTI is very easy, very comfortable. But for someone who doesn't like a lot of vibration, for someone who doesn't like a lot of noise, and there's not a lot of drone on this exhaust either, it's not for them. You can get more power without having all that noise and vibrations if you just buy a Focus ST. There's a thought for you. But I love my MK6 GTI and I love the tunability of it, even though the MK6 is still down on power to a lot of current and even similar generation hot hatches. It's awesome. I mean, I think daily driving is pretty easy and pretty doable with this Stage 2 GTI. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe. Have a great day. And remember, Jesus loves you. Bye.